Hello everybody on YouTube, welcome back to another episode of So Cool Gaming. My name is Nigel.
My name is Mara.
On today's episode of So Cool Gaming, we're going to be talking about what is a gateway game. For all of you guys that are not aware of what a gateway game is, the generic definition of a gateway game is a game that a gamer would use to attempt to get a non-gamer to play and join the hobby. Now, in today's episode, I want to make it clear. This is our own opinion of what the characteristics of a gateway game is in our opinion, but we're not trying to recommend any specific games. The games that you see on the table are just games that we use ourselves for our own experiences for gateway games. With that being said, let's check out the list.
Okay, the first characteristic, and we cannot stress this enough, it's probably the most important characteristic within our whole list, is to keep the game with simple and limited mechanics. You know, you're trying to get a new person, you're introducing them to come into the gaming world with you, but you can't expect them to be able to understand all these crazy rules that when you do something, it triggers something else, and like that triggers something else. Like, you can't have them be able to understand that. So definitely keeping it to 1, 2, or 3 mechanics, something simple that they can wrap their heads around and just be able to have fun with, then that's probably the game that you should go with.
Right, if it's dash rolling, it's dash rolling. If it's cards. If it's pieces moving, then that's that. But just keep it to 1 or 2 mechanics. Keep it simple, and that should be good. The second characteristic of a gateway game for us is based on the game length. You know, for us, we believe that 1 hour to 1.5 is a good sweet spot. It's, you know, everyone has different thoughts about it, but we think that it's enough for them to be able to enjoy the game and enough for them to be able to learn the game and kind of get into it, you know?
Definitely, yeah. You don't want something too long, you know, they're not into this hobby yet. You can't expect them to, you know, sit down with you for 2, 3 hours.
6 hours.
You know, trying to play with you on a game, like, they're not into it yet.
Right.
This is, you know, these are the stepping stones. It's something that's short and sweet, you know, not too crazy. That's probably the best thing. Also, not something that's too short, you know. If it goes by really, really quickly, they're not going to be able to get a good taste of what a good game is. The third characteristic that you should look out for when you're trying to pick out a gateway game is a component that isn't completely necessary, but it's a good component to have, and that is to have a good cooperative game. Now, here are the reasons for this, because a cooperative game, you're both playing on the same team.
Right.
You know, you're trying to accomplish the goal together. So if they have a question, you know, throughout the whole gaming experience that you guys are having together, you're able to answer that question with complete freedom without, you know, worrying that you're going to spoil the game. So if they ask you, you know, you guys are going against each other, they have to ask you a question, and if that question, you know, spoils the game, then the game's just going to be over. So a good characteristic to have is definitely a cooperative game.
Right, and again, not every cooperative game is a gateway, and not every gateway is cooperative. But again, in our own opinion, I think cooperative is the perfect kind of genre of a game to be playing with the newcomer. Another characteristic of a gateway game for us is varying skill levels. What I mean is that if you're an experienced gamer, your skill set in a certain game will not completely destroy that newcomer. And another important thing to keep out for is that if that newcomer is playing, you know, when they just learn the rules, they have a legitimate chance of actually winning and a legitimate chance of being competitive in the game. And I think that's always an important thing, to not always try to destroy your opponent so quickly and the skills are not in balance.
Yeah, definitely. So don't destroy your opponent, because if you completely pummel them in their first time or second time trying to, you know, get into this hobby, they're not going to want to come back and play with you ever again. It's not going to happen. You know, it's going to be like, they're going to be traumatized. They're going to traumatize their gaming, you know, life experience. So something a little bit more random, dice rolling, you know, you can't control it. Their skill level isn't the determinant. Okay, the fifth characteristic. Now, this is not the most important characteristic out of all of them, but it definitely does, you know, push into the helping zone, and that is aesthetically pleasing and pretty game. And here's why, because you know, when you see something that's aesthetically pleasing, like, you want that. Like, you just want to play with it. Like, oh, this is so cute. Like, what does this do? What does that do? You actually have questions because you're curious, because the pieces look pretty. You know, they look pretty. They're cute. that's how he got me playing. You know, he showed me pretty things, and I was like, oh, this is so cute. How do you play? So something that's pretty does help. I'm not saying it's the most important thing. I'm not saying everybody will find something pretty, you know, like they want to play with it, but it definitely does help.
Yeah, it really does help to get them to really be a little bit more into the game than what they would be originally with the kind of boring set. So that's probably one of the last things to look for, but if you could find a more pleasing, aesthetically looking game, try to get that one also, because it actually do help. With that being said, guys, that's our characteristics of what a gateway game is. You can agree with us, you can disagree with us, do whatever you want. But if you enjoyed this video, please give us a thumbs up down there. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for a lot more videos coming up here. We've enjoyed your support so far. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter. Comment down below your thoughts, opinions, maybe some suggestions of what you guys want us to talk about for our next future videos. With that being said, it's always been a pleasure for us to talk to you guys and make this video. And until next time from So Cool Gaming, bye!